Shalom, shalom. This week's Parsha is Parshat Vayishlach, and I'd like to take a couple of minutes to discuss something that has always confounded me. And in it, I discovered something that I think might be an answer. I'm not sure if it's exactly what the text is trying to say, but it does seem very compelling based on the words. Because I'll tell you what my problem is, and we'll go back and try to unravel it. When Yaakov he's headed back, he had lived in the house of Lavan for 20 years, and he has now four wives, and all his children, except for Binyamin, have been born, and lots of possessions. And he's headed back from the house of Lavan. He wants to return to his father's home. And he fears Esav still might want to kill him. And so he devises up a whole plan on what to do in order to just escape the wrath of Esav and come out with him and his family alive. And part of this plan is he sends messengers ahead, a few messengers. He made a certain separation between them with gifts to give Esav to appease him on the way. And when they finally meet up, Esav says to him, like, what's the meaning of all these gifts? And Yaakov tries to urge him to take it. And Esav's like, no, I have enough stuff ready. He's amassed quite a camp and fortune of his own. But Yaakov still tries to convince him. And I want to read the words because this is where I had an issue, and then we'll discuss it. So Yaakov says, Vayomer Yaakov, Alna, imna matzati chen be'enecha v'lakachta minchati miyadi, ki al ken re'iti panecha kirot pnei Elokim v'tirtzeni. So I'll read you in English and then we'll discuss. Yaakov said, no, I beg of you, if I've now found favor in your eyes, accept this tribute from me, inasmuch as I've seen your face, which is like seeing the face of the divine being, and you are appeased by me. Okay, so that's how my English says it. But the words, I think they're even weightier because he's telling him to take this tribute, and he says, Re'iti panecha kirot pnei Elokim. So seeing your face is like seeing the face of Elokim, of God, the same word used for God. And I'm thinking it's not enough that he's bowing down to him. Now he's saying your face is like the face of God. What's up with that? So when I was reading the Parsha, I had noticed that only a few pasukim before, when he was left alone at night and had a battle with what the Chazal, the sages say, was the angel of Esav, which for now, our intents and purposes, we'll call the force, the power of Esav, or how Yaakov had to contend with that. After he's at the end of the battle, we're told that it says, "Vayizrach lo hashemesh." Oh no, before that, sorry. It says, "Vayikra Yaakov Shem Hamakom Peniel Ki Ra'iti Elokim Panim El Panim Vatinatzel Nafshi." So there it says that Yaakov called the name Peniel because he says, "I have seen the divine face to face, and my life was spared." So notice how close the usage of the same words right here, that he says he saw Hashem, Elokim, same name for Hashem, because we have a lot of different names to refer to Hashem. Elokim is one that refers to judgment, face to face. So here we have the word God in terms of judgment, and face, like when he says to Esav, he saw his face is like the face of God, and using the word Elohim. So I felt like there must be a hint in here somewhere, something to understand, because obviously Yaakov bowing down and saying, I've seen the face of God on you, he's not saying to Esav, I'm seeing you as a godlike figure just in order to appease him and to get away with his life. That's not what Yaakov is meaning. So what is Yaakov mean by this? And I think what it's trying to tell us is there was before Yaakov is going to meet up with Esav, and he's dealing with a lot, trying to work out everything in his mind. And Esav was the brother God given to him. Now, sometimes when God does something and it's really, really difficult for us, but it's meant for our better good, that's when I would use the word Elohim, the God of judgment, the God who saw our personality, the other personality, and decided that those two together should be born as twins to the same mother, despite how difficult it was for Yaakov, or maybe not despite, maybe because it might have been so difficult for Yaakov, because Esav and Yaakov were supposed to work together as brothers to achieve a universal goal that still hasn't been achieved until now, and that we see will happen in the end of days. And that's when it says when Yaakov will meet up on Har Esav, Esav will be judged. The two of them are supposed to combine forces and be a light unto the nations, use both of their powers for good, for a universal good. And I think in that battle that Yaakov was having, and reason why he was wounded in his leg, meaning that it hindered his ability to move forward, is because he understood then that perhaps Esav is his brother and there's a purpose, but there was something he wasn't able to take with that and do in order to move forward. And that was a struggle for him. But he understood that there was some divine purpose. He saw in this fight, he saw when he says he saw the face of Hashem, and that's why he called it Peniel, because he faced God. I think he glanced an understanding. When you see a face, right? What does a face do? It gives you from an expression, you're able to tell something from what's going on in the person's mind. So when he says he saw the face of God and he named it Peniel, he had a greater understanding at that moment of some facet of God that had to do with this angel of Esav, the power of Esav in his life. That's what he understood. And then when he met up with Esav later, when he sees Esav's face and he tells him that he saw in his face, he saw God. What he's trying to say is he got a better understanding that that Esav is from God and that there is a force in him that is God given. And he recognized that. And the great fear he had probably was this inability to mesh the two together. Esav was really not the easiest person to partner up with at that point, as we know from what we're told about everything, how Esav lived his life in a very violent, overbearing manner. And I think that fear of Yaakov for what was expected from him and how he was supposed to do it and accomplish it was overwhelming. But he saw God within it, and he knew that this was a God-given plan, and he wanted to be able to somehow appease Esav, seeing him as someone who comes from God in his life. And I think that's what he was trying to say when he says he saw the face of God on him. And I think for me, what I take in my life, which is difficult, I think for all of us, is sometimes we don't understand why we're placed with certain people surrounding us, certain family members, or whatever it is that's God given that we cannot escape. And that there's a deep reason, and that sometimes we fear it and try and run away with it. But if we really look at it face to face, is that there's something there for us to work with and to try our very best to learn from it and grow from it, and to, if possible, work together with it to bring out a better world. Because I don't believe anything's by accident, especially when there's very, very trying, difficult family situations. Um, so obviously, again, I just want to stress this. If there's ever abuse or something that's life-threatening, physically or mentally, psychologically, that's something that we don't stay in, we go away from. But if there's something else that can be worked with together to make a better you and make the other person better and make a better future, that's something that we should do our best to do and take whatever lessons we can from the bad and from the good and move on with that, live a better life. With that, I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.